Julian. Welcome to part two. Julian, I want to ask you about Carla Sauerland's Misfit shows. Obviously you've seen them, haven't you? Or you've had a good look. His Misfit shows, and then he's putting on Williamson and Kelly, which is a great fight, isn't it?
I make no secret of the fact that I think the YouTube boxing, the celebrity boxing, white collar boxing, I don't know whatever you want to call it. I think it's awful. But listen, if people want to have a fight, put some gloves on for charity. That's no big deal. That's no big deal. That's up to them. But what we have to remember, the fuddy-duddy in me wants to say this is, you have to remember this is a dangerous sport. Yeah, fighters. You look at a journeyman who's had 50 fights and he might have won 5, lost 42, 43, drawn a handful. These guys are trained fighters. They've generally got good amateur backgrounds and they know how to take abuse. They know how to ride a storm. And you see these journeymen, they don't get hit as much as you think. But I didn't watch the show, but I saw some highlights and the curiosity in me thought, I'm just going to have a look at this stuff, this Kelly Sauerland YouTube show, wherever it was. And what I saw was untrained fighters with the chin stuck in the air, getting the necks and getting the heads snapped and getting hurt, really getting, if you're not used to boxing, you suddenly start boxing and you get hit with a big shot. This is going to have a real bad effect on you. And what we're going to see, and I'm not going over the top here because, boxing, professional boxing has its own weaknesses and its own ailments. We're going to see one of these guys get killed, right? Professional fighters are different to everybody else. They just have a pain threshold and an ability to absorb punishment, unlike anybody else. When you see these fighters, even these journeymen, even if they do get stopped or get dropped hard, it's not like some girl who has some beef with some other girl getting banged out in one round. This is bloody dangerous, mate. It's really dangerous. And the couple of clips I saw was some kid get stopped, dropped twice hard, really hard. And it was shocking, mate. It was just like this kid had never been in a gym. He'd never had a pair of gloves on in his life. And if you think this is entertainment, people are risking their lives. It's really not. And, they'll say they do medical checks, but are these YouTubers having brain scans, for example? Do we know that they're having brain scans? Are they having full, concise medicals? But what we do know is they're not built and used to taking punishment. Someone is going to get killed. And it won't be that long.
Yeah, I've been saying it for ages with this, and they're all like packs of animals around this for money and that. And when they get killed, someone, touch wood, it don't happen. But if something really bad happens, they'll all just say, well, they know the risks and blah.
Yeah. Listen, fighting is no joke, mate, is it? It's no joke, which is, as you know, why I have real problems with unskilled people getting professional licenses. But the best of my knowledge, these guys aren't professionals who Kelly Sauerland's putting on. They're just YouTubers. They're not fighters. They're not people who understand fighting. They're not people who are used to sparring, open sparring. Someone is going to get badly hurt. And for all these voyeurs who pay to watch this rubbish, it's awful. And the argument, I'll give you an example as well, because I think I said before, my daughter went to see, going to get the names wrong, she went to see KSI against Joe Weller, whenever it was, 5-6 years ago. She went to London or Manchester, wherever it was. Her and a friend went. It was a birthday present. Dad, I want to go. Dad, I want to go. She went to watch this KSI and Joe Weller. She came back.
Only a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Whatever it was, mate. It seems a bit longer than that. She's not here, else I'd ask her. But the point I'm making, there's an argument that it brings new people to boxing. My daughter's not seen a boxing match since she went to see that. She's not interested in seeing KSI box. Should watch KSI bloody knit a cardigan. They just want to see these people. So these idiots who say it's bringing a new audience to boxing, no, it's not. The people watching these YouTubers fight, they're not interested in boxing. The voyeurs who want low, just cheap rent television, low, high thrills, low intellect, and it's just garbage, mate. It's garbage. It's dangerous. I hate it. There's no place for it on these shows. And who was it who showed it? Was it DAZN?
Yeah.
God, I mean, what does that say about DAZN? That they've got you'll have a lack of bills, UK bills, like we just talked about, the budget's being cut. What about, how do you feel if you're like a professional fighter and you're with Matchroom or you're with Cali and you can't get out? You've been in a gym for 4 months, 5 months, and you've not boxed. And you turn DAZN on and you watch that shower of shite. How would you feel?
You'd be filming, wouldn't you?
It's disgraceful, mate. This is one of the most dangerous sports of all. I never say it's the most dangerous because rugby league's dangerous, mountaineering's dangerous, but contact sport, mixed martial arts dangerous, Thai boxing's dangerous. I'm not saying these are all dangerous sports, but you can't have unskilled, unqualified people, taking part in dangerous sports. There has to be a criteria. All right, we've got freedom of choice, but you have to sometimes protect people from themselves.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day about it, and we had a good chat about it, and I said to him, I said, does Kalle Sauerland, does he think that, I don't, does he think I married a spastic and that I'm not going to spot that what this is? You know what I mean? These people are just doing it for money. They don't care for boxing. But yet, if you remember, Kalle were slaughtering these YouTubers, wasn't it, not long ago? But now he's joined the party, hasn't he?
If you care for boxing, you do what I know. Terry Chappindama's heavily involved in boxing and amateur boxing. But if you care for boxing, you get yourself down to the local amateur boxing club, and you just say, I want to help out. All right. All the amateur boxing clubs all need help, whether it's a treasurer, whether it's sponsors, whether it's assistant coaches. It doesn't matter. All these amateur boxing clubs need help because they're all struggling and people are struggling making money. So if you care for boxing and you care for boxers, get yourself down to your local amateur club and volunteer and do some voluntary work. But no, they care for money. They care for fame. They don't care for boxing. And that's not me being harsh. That's me just speaking the truth. They do not care about the integrity of boxing, because if you ask some of these guys about, historical things in the sport and about some of the great fighters, they won't have a clue what you were talking about.
Is that why you got involved with Max? Because she didn't want to see him get hurt?
Because he's a lovely lad. And I just thought, I can maybe help him a little bit. You asked me to have a look at him and not just help him, in terms of doing a bit of work with him coaching wise, because that was never really practical because there's 80 miles between us. But just in terms of, if I've done anything with Max, I've told him about the dangers of boxing and about the sharks out there and about the people out there who will easily just take your money, wouldn't care less about you. And I've just said, listen, this is a real dirty sport. You have to give yourself the best opportunity you can. But yeah, listen, I've coached amateurs for years and years and years and years and years, pros for God knows how long, not more recently. And anybody who really does it comes from a good place. You don't make money from it. We don't make money from it. Of course you don't. Sometimes you lose. Well, I lost thousands actually from setting up gyms and buying equipment, but it's not about cash. But if you really love boxing, as I said, you help boxers. All clubs would would want people to help out. They all struggle with minibuses, all that kind of stuff. Just getting kids to shows you know, transporting kids to shows. Go, Kelly, Salwand, go help out your local amateur boxing club. And because you guys are absolutely loaded, why don't you contribute towards equipment? I don't know. They don't love boxing, mate. Do you know what? You've just said it's not that they don't love boxing. I don't even think they appreciate boxing genuinely.
No, it's
Well, you wouldn't do, would you? Because if you knew, if you really cared about boxing and you cared about professional boxing because this is the arena that you're in, you'd be doing the best you can to look after those professional fighters you've got. You won't be spending all your efforts and all your time and all your focus on putting bloody YouTubers on, jokers on.
he's putting on Troy Williams and Josh Kelly though now on Channel 5, isn't he?
Well, how many great pro shows is he putting on? You know, how many?
Yeah, I know that's one good fight that he's putting on, but
one good fight does not make a great promoter, does it?
no. But it is a good fight that I'm looking forward to. Well, it's just a trade fight. It's what we should be getting anyway. It's his job, isn't it, to put stuff on like that?
Exactly, it's his job. I'm not going to be pat on the back for making a good domestic fight. It's his job. He should be putting those type of fights on every other week.
That much boxing and fed that much crap. When we get a fight like this, we're like, wow. Maybe I'm overhyping him because we've been fed that much rubbish. Okay. Moving on then. Bricktop, aka the shoulder roll. We'll put a picture up there of him doing a shoulder roll. They can nail him, can they? Bricktop, he doesn't mess about, does he? How do you think he's come out of all this with the Fury, Joshua, carry on, not happening, and blah blah and all this? How do you think he's come out of it all? Do you think he's come out of it smelling the roses, or do you think he's to blame and Hearn's to blame? Because one of them's to blame, isn't it? It's not the fight.
Well, what we've heard in terms of the Joshua Fury, I think the majority of people think Hearn's to blame. I think there's a percentage of people think Tyson Fury's to blame by his outbursts and his being outspoken and everything else. I don't think there's that many people who are actually pointing this finger at Frank Warren, because Frank Warren's got the most marketable heavyweight in the world. He's got the best heavyweight in the world. And he didn't need that fight, did he? That was a fight. They said, all right, well, you want 60-40, we'll give you 60-40. I don't think Warren massively needed that fight. And I'll tell you why, because no matter what stick Warren gets over this Chisora fight, it'll sell out, because he proved it with Dillian White. Tyson Fury does big numbers. I think Warren's come out of this probably the same as he went into it. People know he's a shrewd businessman. He's boxing through and through. He's not the most warmest of characters, is he? He doesn't pretend to be everybody's friend. I saw him on an interview recently with Boxing King Media, and he couldn't be arsed with them. He clearly didn't want to be there, and he was quite abrupt. And this is just what Frank Warren's like. But I think what we have seen is why someone like Warren has been in this game for like 40, 50 years, and he's tried and tested, isn't he? And I thought Eddie was going to gazump him at some point a few years ago, and I think we're seeing the opposite now, aren't we? But I think
he's back on his perch, isn't he, Frank?
He's definitely back on his perch, and it's almost given him a bit of a renewed focus, because Frank hasn't been, let's not, make out he's been brilliant the last couple of years. Frank hasn't been putting that many shows on this year, and they haven't been great, but he's been stepping up a little bit, hasn't he? He's got, he's done a few good shows recently. They've had some cracking fights on them. And exactly, real 50-50 or 55-45 fights, exciting fights. And I think just that, I think is Frank Warren and Sky right now are the go-to destination, aren't they, for young fighters turning over. If you were turning over now and you had some good advisors around you, even if Matchroom were throwing big money at you, you'd be thinking twice, wouldn't you? Be saying, I want to fight on a big platform. The biggest platform's Sky. The next biggest platform's BT. I don't want to fight on an app. It's not the best thing for me. So Warren's, he's doing all right at the moment. it's good to see that he's growing his stable from the bottom up as well. You know, he's got kids who are kind of bubbling at the moment. You know, we're going to find out. We've mentioned Dennis McCann before. We're going to find out if Dennis McCann's a real deal. I think one thing where Frank Warren's true to his word as well is he's not massive on women's boxing, whether that's right or whether that's wrong. He's not someone who's really pumping that too much himself. So he does stay true to his word. It's going to be interesting, but Frank can't be doing this forever, can he? Although you look at Bob Arum, and what's Bob Arum now, 90 something. I'm amazed that Bob Arum's still promoting. So maybe Frank will be here in his 90s. Who knows?
He'll outlive all of us, Bricktop, won't he?
Well, he's people have tried to get rid of Frank before. He's indestructible, isn't he? He's like bleeding Michael Myers.
And then to say he could survive a nuclear blast.
You just know, don't you? You know, we all remember the incident he had with Tyson. You know, and he was the uncle, was he, or the nephew of Lenny McLean. He's been around some tough, frightening characters as Frank Warren, hasn't he? And he's come close a few times, hasn't he, to you know, maybe a good hiding or two. But I kind of like. I don't really know him. I've seen him a couple of times, twice, and just sort of nodded at him, said hello to him. But he does have this kind of thing around him that he's not very warm. But who cares? As long as these people are putting on good shows, who cares?
I ain't warm because boxing can make you bitter, can't it? And is that?
Oh yeah.
He don't trust anybody, does he? If it looks to it, does he? In boxing, does he? You can't blame.
Well, you can't, can you? You can't trust people in boxing because most of them, you know, will sell their own mother, won't they?
Well, he's seen young Hearn off, so good. All the power to him.
I genuinely think he has. You know, I know this. You know, it's like the transfer season football. You know, one year it's one club, the next year it's another one. We've had a bit of that the last few years, but there's something what feels very definite about what's going on with DAZN, doesn't there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Usyk. They're saying he's next for Fury after he's dealt with Chisora March. Bob Arum's in talks with Usyk's team and blah blah blah. Do you see Fury fighting December and then fighting March? I don't see that, do you?
Well, we've not seen heavyweights fight so close together, have we? It's not something we've been used to for ages now. That they fight once a year, they fight twice a year if we're lucky, but generally it's every 9-10 months these big heavyweight fights are. So I can't see a fight in December and a fight in February. I hope so, but we've said before we get big heavyweight fights, okay? But the 3 fights we've wanted in the last God knows how long, you know, Joshua Wilder, Fury Joshua, and Usyk and Tyson. We've not had them, so I'm not convinced this fight's going to happen. I hope it happens, but I'm not massively convinced.
Yeah. What do you think to Fury Joshua doing 50,000 tickets in one day?
You mean Chisora?
Sorry. Yes, Fury Chisora. I keep saying Fury Joshua.
I hadn't seen that, but it wouldn't surprise me because there's a massive community behind Tyson, isn't there? The travelling community. They've got deep pockets and they love Tyson, and they'll pay to watch Tyson shadowbox. So it'll be a big public spa. That's what that'll be. But I'll watch it. I like Tyson. I like watching Tyson.
Tyson's piling millions, isn't he? White, Chisora. I mean, these are just leftovers, aren't they? Really, what he's fighting, aren't they? Really, even his own leftovers because he fought Chisora twice.
Well, yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I know we're being told that anything can happen, and you know, I remember Larry Holmes dominated Ernie Shavers in the final eliminator for the WBC heavyweight title in 1978 and it's 77, and Holmes absolutely dominated Shavers. It was so one-sided, but Ernie Shavers got a shot at Larry Holmes, but Ernie wasn't approaching 40 years old and he didn't have a load of losses on back-to-back, did he? So this isn't quite the same scenario for me. This is a guy who, when he gets hit, his legs shake. You know, we saw that with the Purely fight with Chisora. His legs shake because his brain's been rattled that many times. He has no chance against Tyson Fury. So don't tell me he's got a puncher's chance. He doesn't. I think Tyson could just tick over in sparring and training and just do a little bit here and there, and he could still turn up and beat up Derek Chisora.
Yeah, he won't need a big serious camp for Del Boy, would he, Tyson?
If Tyson Fury is in a real professional mood and he wants to put on a show, this could be a dangerous fight for Derek Chisora.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Health-wise, you mean?
Yeah, this could be a real dangerous fight for him. Fury's punching a lot harder than he has done for years. He plants his feet more. He's a giant of a man. He's got that confidence, and you can see him just really doing a number on him, can't you?
I can, yeah. I can see him bashing him up.
4 rounds, he'll just smash him with an uppercut, a big right hand, and he'll just knock him straight out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Joe G, former Ring Magazine Trainer at Year, Joe Gallagher. He's only British guy to win it. So, did Enzo Kawasaki win it? I think he did, didn't he? Joe's only English guy to win it, is he?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Enzo. If it was, I didn't know if Enzo got the British Boxing Board of Control Trainer of the year. I didn't know he got the Ring Magazine. Maybe he did.
Might have been. I think Joe's the only one in it that's won it from Britain anyway. Yeah.
I think so.
But Paul Butler, he's got Paul Butler, world champion. He's got 1 belt. I know you've got the other 3 belts and Ring Magazine belts online. It's a unification fight. Well, it's an undisputed fight, isn't it? In Japan, there's no PR whatsoever for that lad, is there? Nobody's mentioning him, are they? A fight like that, a world champion going in for an undisputed against everybody's top 5 pound for pound, or everybody's top 10 at least. You know, I know he's up there.
Mm-hmm.
I know he was up there. What do you think about Butler's chances, and why do you think nobody's giving him any PR?
Well, first of all, I'm proud to know Joe Gallagher. I've known him a long time, been in his company many times, spoke to him many times, been to his gym several times. Joe's a great coach, great servant of British boxing, takes no shit. So, first of all, just really good to see Joe getting the credit he deserves over the last few years. Second, you're a boxer, you're a professional boxer, you're like Paul Butler, you're a world-class professional fighter, you've won 2 world titles. This is what you train to do all your life. You want to test yourself against the best. So we can't criticize fighters for avoiding people and then rip them to pieces when they step up and they fight absolute beasts like Inoue. We can't do that. All you have to say is go out there, give everything, come back safely, and hopefully he gives, Inoue a hell of a fight, a hell of a fright, and he's certainly got some fantastic skills to give him some good moves and to keep him off for a few rounds. But of course he's up against it, and of course we fully expect him to get beat and well beat. But I'm not going to rip a guy to bits for taking his chance, and hopefully he's getting well paid. And if it doesn't go his way, he's out there with a good coach who's going to look after him. And as long as he's got his health after the fight and he can spend his money, and he can look back and he can just say to his kids and his grandkids, I went in with one of the best fighters in the world and I gave him hell. And what I will say as well, and no, I haven't been drinking because I don't drink, you can never rule anybody out. I mean, I ruled Chisora out just then, but I'm talking about a guy who's a class act like Paul Butler. He's a brilliant boxer. He's got a brilliant boxing brain in his corner. You can't rule people out. People ruled Lloyd Honeyghan out. People ruled Buster Douglas out. 1 second, Russell. got some chicken out for Kelsey's tea, and the cat was just sniffing around, mate. Right, you can't rule out anybody. Yes, all right, all these clever people who will say, I told you so, if he gets taken out in 5 rounds. Well, that won't make you clever. That just means you predicted something that most people think. But you can rule people out. This is what makes the sport absolutely fantastic when we see these upsets, when John H. Stracy beat Jose Napoles, when Leon Spinks beat Ali. And, both of those are upsets, but the champion was fading to some extent. But people go out there, look at Kirkland Lang beating Roberto Duran. Upsets happen. You can't rule out that one guy's going to have the best night of his life. One guy has the worst night of his life. He's not done the weight right. And these things can happen. Do I think it'll happen? No. Do I think it's absolutely impossible? No, it's not impossible.
Yeah. It's an hard fight for young Paul Butler, though, isn't it?
Of course, it's a hard fight. It was a hard fight for Kevin Lucian when he went over and fought Felix Trinidad. And all right, he got well beat, he got stopped, but he put Trinidad on the deck, didn't he? It was a hard fight we mentioned this recently, didn't we? When the likes of Brian London are fighting Ali and Richard Dunn, they're hard fights. You can't always have easy fights in boxing, can you? But you're fighting a monster, a guy who's a massive, massive puncher. Look at Anthony Crolla when he fought Lomachenko. He got absolutely trounced. If you ask Anthony Crolla, does he regret taking that fight? He'd just say, not at all. I went in against the absolute best. And good fighters, top fighters, they want to put themselves against the best because you really want to find out how good you are. And I'll tell you something about Paul Butler. I don't know him. I bet Paul Butler's got no negative thoughts in his mind. He won't have any doubt at all. Paul Butler will be convinced he's going to win this fight. And if he doesn't think he's going to win, he shouldn't be in boxing.
You reckon?
100%. Of course, he's just a fighter. I remember when I told you the story before when Sykes got offered Adrian Broner. I'll fight him. Yeah, I want to fight him. I want to fight the best. I want to see how good I am. These are look. What happens, right? Is
say that to me.
I was an amateur boxer. That's all I was. I was just an average amateur boxer. What happens with pro boxers? They're a different breed to you and I, Russell. They're a different breed to everybody else. I'm talking good pros, good pros. They're fearless, mate. They're absolutely fearless. When fights don't happen, it's not boxers.
Julian.
Say again, Russell.
Crawford Ashley fighting Michael Nunn. He took it for 19 grand because he wanted to test himself.
Because he wanted to fight Michael second to none. Absolute fantastic fighter. Unbelievable, brilliant fighter. All the Leonards and the Ernses and the Aglers and all these guys were all sidestep Nunn. We love Nunn. We love those guys. That's what fighters want to do. Fighters want to test themselves against the best. Of course, they want to keep the health. They want to keep the wealth. But all the fighters I know, it's like people just say it was an honor to share a ring with so-and-so. And, you can't be in boxing if you're just going to be turning opportunities like that down.
Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean. It's craziness.
Well, listen, who's going to get hurt, right? I mean, touch wood, everybody's really healthy. We don't want people getting hurt. Who's going to get hurt, right? The most? Paul Butler going up against this massive puncher when he's a trained, seasoned, world-class professional, or these YouTubers we've just been talking about getting knocked out cold when they've never been in a ring in their life. Who's more likely to get hurt?
YouTubers.
100%.
Paul Butler's a world champion, by the way, current world champion at the moment.
He's a current world champion. He's a good fighter, mate. And if it wasn't in your way,
two-time champion.
Yeah, exactly. And if it wasn't in your way, we wouldn't be running down his chances, would we? He just happens to be coming up against a special fighter. But Donaire gave him a really good fight. I know Donaire was a big puncher, but he was also aging quite a bit as well. He was a guy considered to be well past his best. And he gave Inoue a great fight.
Josh Warrington's fighting Lopez. It looks like an easy fight for Josh. What do you think?
I don't think that's an easy fight, mate. I caught Lopez on a show about, it might have been 6 months ago. He turned over an unbeaten kid. He's a really awkward kid. He holds his chin up in the air. He looks like one of these who is easy to hit. He's awkward. His feet are awkward. He's a stiff puncher. He throws punches from wild angles. I've seen him take some big shots as well. He's sprung a couple of upsets on the way up. I don't think he's an easy night for Josh Warrington at all. And you have to remember, Josh has been around now for quite some time. He's not had the best form in the past 2 years, 2.5 years. And if I was Josh, that's not a fight I'd want to take, but it's a mandatory I has to take. Don't think Josh wins. Absolutely. Don't think that's an easy night's work. Not at all. That's a real tough 12-rounder, mate.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Maxi Hughes story. A great story, isn't it?
It's a brilliant story. Fantastic story.
Your fighter at year, but he's mine. He's one of them, like.
He's certainly everybody's underdog of the year, isn't he? And you know, you get a Maxi Hughes, and he could win an undisputed title at 5 different weights, and he'd still probably drink in the same pub and live in the same street and have the same friends. He's just that type of person who, you know, is just a down-to-earth kid who works hard, and he's got no airs and graces. And Sean's done a phenomenal job with him, and he's done a great job himself. And Steffi's done a good job managing him, no denying that. And to be in the position he's in, it's come from hard work, dedication, but more than anything, he's got a real strong mental fortitude, hasn't he? Because he's not rolled over and started crying when he's been beaten, and sometimes being well beaten. He's somebody who's just got back on the horse and tried to be the best version of himself. So you have to say good luck to him, and hopefully he gets an absolute ton of money for his next couple of fights.
Yeah. Mark Efron, 30-year-old now, Kid Dynamite, 29, 2-1, British and Commonwealth champion. He's ranked with one at number 12 with governing bodies as well. So he looks like he's getting himself into a good position, doesn't he? Super
heavy-handed, all action. Physically, he's massive at the weight. He looks absolutely huge. Lives clean, loves the sport. Not afraid to take 50-50 fights, just like we've just talked about with Maxi Hughes and with Paul Butler. If anybody deserves some big money fights, it's Mark Efron. So we look at some of these people who are earning an absolute ton of money and they haven't earned nothing. Those are 3 fighters we've just named there who absolutely deserve a chance. And just because he's physically so big and so game, never knows when he's beat. He's one of those fighters who've never known he's beat. He's also somebody who, he doesn't have that eliteness about him. He doesn't look like an elite world-class fighter. He looks like a fringe world-class fighter. But you never know, dear, because those guys are tough to beat. And physically, he's very, very strong.
Yeah, it's a good story, Mark Efron's, isn't it, at the moment? I mean,
I love those stories, mate. I love those true blue, working class, blue collar fighters coming through who haven't had all the trumpets and all the razzmatazz when all through the career. They've taken a couple of losses. I love those guys. I'll always love those guys over the protected kind of house fighters.
Yeah, I do. And I hope he gets his title shot in the next 18 months.
Me too.
Ready when he's about 32, I think. They'll just time it right, won't they?
Yeah, of course they will. And he'll hopefully earn some good money and he'll put in a good performance.
I see, in fact, that's sad, Joe, for European and clean it up British Commonwealth, European, and go for world title.
Well, those are belts worth having, aren't they, mate? Those European title belts. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. So we've got Tony Bellew missing in action, Ben missing in action, Eddie missing in action. Varda have done a better job than I could do, haven't they, in the last 5 years? They've
done brilliant, mate, haven't they? You just got to catch these guys out. it's going to be interesting to watch it all unfold over the next 12 to 18 months. So whilst boxing's been on its arse really recently with what's been going on, they're definitely interesting times. But unfortunately, as we've said, they're in interesting times for all the wrong reasons. But we just need a couple of UK stars to come through, don't we? That's what we need, people to get excited about. I don't know who that's going to be, whether it's going to be an Adam Azim. I don't know who it's going to be. I've got no idea, but we need some big fights. We need some big stars to come through, and we need to see the big name fighters fighting better opposition more frequently, and then boxing will be again in a much healthier sport. But I worry about it. You know that I really worry about it.
Yeah, I do at the moment. I'm starting to think, I mean, there's more to life than boxing. I was thinking earlier, and I thought, what would I want
There's
to do?
more.
Yeah, I'd like to go get my pro card and turn professional at pool. If I had the time, I could easily find the time. I'd get a table up to the factory.
Yeah.
I'd like to put 4 hours a day in doing that. But I ain't got the time at the moment. But there's other things besides boxing, isn't there? Because boxing keeps kicking us in teeth, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely, mate. You know, I gave my pro card back whenever it was. I can't remember now. I didn't renew it in January, February. I won't train pro fighters again. That's definite. I might do a few other things what I've been asked to do, but there's more to life, mate. There's definitely more to life, and these are really tough times for everybody. And people are just switching off in the droves. They really are, you know, because saying, you know what, it's a bit of a joke sport right now, and they're just going to tune into things that make them smile and make them happy. I'd be gutted to see its demise really, you know, plummet, because I've been in the game for a long, long time. And anybody who says McGowan's just moaning again, when you've given as many years as I have to, as a boxer, as a coach, I'm entitled to a view just like anybody else. In fact, I've earned my right to criticise boxing if that's what I'm doing. But we shall see, mate. What we the golden ages have gone. I have to accept that. You have to accept it. The days of, you know, one or two champions, the days of fights being made pretty quickly are gone. But we just have to hope that the fights that we do get are compelling, and we get great fights at least 2 or 3 times a year. But I don't know. This will be my last one, Russell, because I've got to go pick my boy up. What I will say, I can't break away from the 80s. And last night I sat down and it was about 10, 10:30. And I was tired, and I thought I'll just watch a bit of boxing. And I watched the classics on Sky, and I watched Hagler Mugabe once again.
What a fight!
And I know,
Champion Mugabe, like middle, wasn't it?
unbelievable. John Mugabe, 26-0, 26 KOs, the beast from Uganda. Hagler coming towards the end of his reign, but the marvellous Marvin Hagler, one of the greatest fighters ever lived. Anybody who's not seen that, it's on Sky Sports Classics. It's absolutely brilliant. It's also on YouTube, a good version. It's a fantastic fight. I was watching Burt Reynolds ringside, Tom Selleck, all the superstars ringside. What a golden era. Caesar's Palace outdoors. It being a rainy night. Marvellous Marvin Hagler was unbelievable that night. Mugabe was unbelievable. The corner work was fantastic. There was no stupid music in between rounds. You could hear, you know, the Petronelli brothers, Mickey Duff, you know, George Francis, these iconic people. Unbelievable, mate. And you know what? I watched it, Russell, and I got goosebumps. And I've seen the fight about 30 times, 40 times. I got goosebumps, and I was just like the best 40 minutes I've spent in ages, mate. Absolutely loved it. So I just want a fight to make me feel like that again, and then I'll fall back in love with boxing.
All right. Well, listen, you take care. Have a great evening, what's left of it, and I'll speak to you soon.
You take care, Russell. See you soon, pal. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers, Julian. And we're out of time. Peace out.